Welcome to Sports Management Podcast, where you will hear interesting sports management professionals share their stories, experiences, and passion for the sports management industry. I am your host, Marcus Philipsson.
Today's guest is Gustavo Arellano, the head of commercial development at FIBA, the International Basketball Federation. He's a chemical engineer who transitioned into the sports industry, which later moved him to Switzerland and FIBA. He's working on several interesting projects, including Esports, a Twitch partnership, and more. Get ready to learn about the partnership between FIBA and Twitch, how FIBA is working together with the national federations, FIBA's focus on esports, the future of 3x3 basketball, and much more. Gustavo Arellano, welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a great pleasure to have you on the show, and you are the head of commercial development at FIBA, the International Basketball Federation. So
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about your role?
Yes, sure. This is a position that was created early 2020. We were not sure that it was not created because of the pandemic, although it was almost at the same time. The idea was to have a position where we would have an active role on supporting our regional offices as a first mandate, and also have it as a position to be active in the market, looking for new opportunities and looking for other ways to not only to monetize, but to develop fan engagement and develop new projects that would support the development of basketball. It's important to highlight that FIBA has two commercial arms, FIBA Marketing and FIBA Media, and this position sits in the middle of both. So sometimes supporting both arms, or sometimes just doing and developing new verticals of commercial development.
Okay, so in your role, are you overseeing both the media and the marketing?
I won't say overseeing. I will say we support those entities, because remember that for FIBA Marketing is a partnership with Infront. They have their own structure, although they are placed in FIBA. The same for FIBA Media with DAZN, and my role is supporting both. I would not say overseeing both. It's a lot of work.
I understand. In your role as head of commercial development for FIBA, how are you working with the national federations?
This is a good question. And this is why one of the reasons that we started. And just to give you a bit of context, when we did the partnership with Infront for FIBA Marketing, and this is one example, we had to set priorities for our event. We had a lot of properties. We technically the commercial arm of FIBA is centralized, meaning that we don't have commercial people in our regional offices. Therefore, when we did the partnership with Infront, we had to set up a line and then covering with Infront only what we call the top events, which is the events are World Cup and Continentals. Therefore, there were a lot of events that were left out of the service, I would say, of the marketing team. And that's one of the reasons also for this business development was created. So one of those was supporting national federations. And we have 213 federations and very little people to help. We have been supporting I would say, in coordination with another unit, which is called Sports and Development, they have been developing programs for knowledge transfer. So our role with them have been to support on the commercial space, because for knowledge transfer, we have different verticals. We have not only the commercial one, but we also have the sports one, 3x3, women's development, grassroots, etc., development of coaches, development of referees. And on the commercial side, we work in coordination with them to support actively federations. But on top of that, if a federation is going through developing a partnership, or they're going through a licensing exercise and they need our support, we can have a call and we can dedicate directly time to them. We don't go directly behind them, but we have our offices, or our Zoom links are open for them. And I've been involved in a specific project with different federations so far.
And what about the NBA, which is the biggest organization for basketball, the basketball league? So are you working with them or helping them in some way?
Well, I think saying helping NBA would be a nice phrase to say, but NBA is a great organization. It's important to remind that NBA sits in the board of FIBA. Although we are separate organizations from commercial point of view, we run business differently. For development of basketball, there is a lot of alignment. So there are a lot of projects together. And I have one in particular where I have a direct relation with NBA, which is esports. Everything connected to the development of this new pillar. We have been in contact with NBA and 2K and 2K League, which are technically three different entities. And this is one of my projects. With them, active projects that FIBA has, we have Basketball Without Borders, we have the Basketball African League, but those are handled by different departments. So from business development point of view, I would say that esports will take the biggest part of a connection with NBA as an ongoing project. We are ongoing on that one.
Why has FIBA decided to focus on esports?
Well, we became more active during the pandemic, but it was an initiative that was on the table since 2016. We're looking a way to incorporate FIBA environment, national teams environment into esports. During that time, before 2020, we found some obstacles, but now we were blessed or lucky that NBA 2K, the game, has a mode where people can play with their own avatar, so we don't have that barrier of image rights usage during the game. So that gives us an opportunity to involve national federations and ask them to create their own teams, basically. And that's why in 2020, we drafted a pilot. To be very honest, and we have been very transparent about it, we didn't have a strategy. We didn't know what to do about it. And NBA was very supportive, like, let's do a trial. So we decided to learn by doing. And that at that time, what we define is the scope of a pilot, where we will be testing the interest of the national federations. If this will be a new product for them, if this will be a new asset that they could develop within their structure. And the pilot was very successful. So we did 3 events. We call it Esports Open, FIBA Esports Open. We organized it in a continental mode, even we had to play in sub-regions due to the latency of the game. Of course, everything was online. And again, the test was not as a product for the public. Yes, we had it open. We tracked numbers, but the main goal was to test if federation were able and set up for something like this. And the last version of it, we engaged more than 65 national federations. What for us, it was a very successful number. And from there, now we set the basis for what we call a long-term strategy, which is ongoing now. We are in the middle of good conversations with NBA and 2K to develop a platform for national federations to participate in teams. I would say in national team form and complement the main product in esports, which is the 2K League. And so far, very good, a nice experiment. We have learned a lot. I will say that we decided not to copy paste what we have done in traditional basketball. We were conscious that this is a different space, a different audience. And we realized that there are a lot of people, and we have now more and more of these stories, that they know about our game through a console, through a remote control first, and then with a ball outside. It's still for a lot of people counterintuitive to believe this, but there are a lot of people now touching our game first in this form. And for us, it is our role and it's a part of our responsibility to make them part of the family. So this is the reason why esports will fit and simulation of basketball will fit into our structure. And we're looking step by step to create a space for these new members of the family, basically.
Is the esport part a way to introduce more people to also traditional basketball, or you see this as they will focus on basketball esports?
We believe in the cross-pollination of the sport, and you will be amazed by the basketball IQ that these guys who plays NBA 2K has. So these are kids that are ready to be on the court. However, we haven't go that far yet. We don't have an initiative. If you are playing in the console, then we will send you an invitation to go to a youth grassroots. Maybe that will happen in the future. But for the moment, we need to set, I would say, a solid structure, sustainable structure. You know that esports still is a very niche product. If we compare it, simulation of sports with esports overall is still a very, I would say, a group in development. We need the right partners. We need the right setup. So we are at that stage yet. From promotion point of view, yes, cross-pollination is a key word in all our presentations, but still that mix of asking people playing in a club, go and do esports or vice versa, I think might come later.
I see. There is also 3x3 basketball that was introduced at the Summer Olympic Games as an official Olympic sport at 2020 Olympics. What is FIBA working around 3x3 basketball?
Well, 3x3 is a big project. I'm not directly involved with them, although we follow closely, and I have a few projects with them. Yeah, what we are doing is that we are doing our best and setting the best team to make it as big as possible. If you see the evolution of the amount of events and the amount of the prize money and the amount of what we call the World Tour as the top of the pyramid event have been growing consistently since 2010, I would say. And now the numbers that they are receiving from followership and how many people go to these events, not only on the top level, which are the World Tour, but also the challengers and everything that they have created as a pyramid is impressive. It's a very nice product. It's a complementary product. It doesn't compete with traditional basketball. It's totally a different game. If you have the opportunity to see, I will highly recommend it to see it live. It's a very different experience to see it on TV. The proposal and the components that they have as a new product are impressive. It's like a party mixed with basketball. It's very fun. It's super fast. And if you dare to play it, and if you play it compared to traditional basketball, it's a sprint. It's a very different game. And it will need time because as a new discipline, you need the proper base and create the grassroots stage and all those things. But for sure, being on the Olympics, it's accelerating that process. And we see now more and more national federations heavily involved in the process of development of 3x3 as a new discipline, as it is. And I think the future is bright for our friends in 3x3.
And I mean, it's interesting to see that you are branching out and I mean, seeing what kids wants today and you focus on the esport, the 3x3. And another part of these aspects that I wanted to talk about is that FIBA and Twitch has a partnership. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, Twitch partnership, it was a nice one. This was directly handled by our team. The idea, the concept was to test how to showcase real basketball, and this is the first step to avoid confusion. We did not do that partnership for esports, although we were having projects at the same time. Twitch project is to showcase real basketball, particularly 3x3, in a different way, in a different format. And the process has been a great learning to understand how a different platform works, how the audience reacts to what we do. We had few, I would say, hard lessons. For example, the programmatic concept in Twitch is very important. At the beginning, we were not as consistent as we could because of the challenges of the calendar. We were just starting after COVID, and we were not able to have something every Thursday or every Saturday. And that on Twitch is very important. We learned that the hard way. And when we understood that, we adjusted a bit the concept. And now we are building, and we're now in the reviewing phase. But in the second stage, I would say, of the first year, what we built in Twitch was an idea of aggregator, a channel, an aggregator of content, instead of focusing on live basketball, which still makes sense. But then since we don't have, because of our calendar and the properties that we were able to showcase in Twitch, we were not able to hit that frequency as we wanted. Then we decided to adjust it and create a show where we will be just aggregating the best of basketball and looking for the best content out there and make it in a Twitch way, basically. And the experiment have been, I would say, successful. It's very nice to work with Twitch. They are very clear on what they want. Our partnership is part of their initiative to increase the amount of content outside gaming. It was clear that during COVID, people were going to Twitch not only to see esports, but also to see people cooking, a new artist, and do it yourself in real life conversation. So sports was a nice vertical. Right now, football is the biggest sport in Twitch for sure, but there is a space for basketball, and we are looking to build it in that way. And Yes, a nice. I won't say experiment because it's still a project. We are testing few things there. We're learning there, and now we are there, and we hope. No, we're sure we will continue there for a while.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
The third aspect that I wanted to touch upon that you are working on is your commercial strategy for EuroLeague women's basketball. How do you see that?
EuroLeague women basketball is a very interesting product, with no doubt, and due to the investment of the European clubs, it's arguably has the best players in the world, the best salaries for women's basketball. So technically, and we like to say that people following women's NBA might discuss this, but we believe it's the best basketball for a women's club. They don't have salary cap, and it creates an environment where the best of the best are playing in a club. And although have been very difficult to create that product that will engage a critical mass, have been very difficult to convey that idea of the best basketball that we have for women into a nice product. So a few years ago, just before COVID, we were looking to revamp the brand, and we did few tweaks into the branding to make sure that people understand the concept of EuroLeague Women, to make it more appealing and to make it, I would say, more open. That was a successful first step, but now we are going through a more deeper transformation. It needs few more steps in order to make it as open and as known as we want. But the product is great, and it will continue growing. And I have to say that what we have done at the moment have been very superficial, and there is a lot of room for growth in that space.
Yeah, women's sport in general, I mean, has grown a lot lately, and I think it's great to see that also FIBA is focusing their strategies on the women's game.
Yeah, it is actually one of our pillars for this cycle. FIBA has 3 strategic pillars. If you allow me just to mention, we have a growth of enlarged FIBA family. So esports will fall a bit there. Empower our national federations, and this is connected to what we spoke at the beginning, supporting the knowledge transfer and creating the tools for them to develop. And the third one that I'm mentioning, but it's basically one of the first, is the women in basketball. So not only EuroLeague Women, but also the change of the calendar, but also the creating tools for understanding why it is a reality. Women drops our game at certain age, and what we could do to make it better in that space. So we conducted a very interesting research worldwide to understand that and to implement things on it. And we are just a few weeks, I will say now, from the Women's World Cup in Australia. And that will be this is a first time for FIBA to invest what we are doing now, the resources we are investing now in a Women's World Cup. And we hope that this will be a nice milestone and a turning point for women's events in basketball. So this is only a few initiatives in this pillar.
Anything else you want to mention that FIBA is working on before we move into the second segment?
Well, there are many things. There are many things, but I think we cover a good one, at least from our part. Maybe the last one is our latest. I make the joke that our latest baby is the launch of Courtside 1891. It's the revamp of our OTT. We had live basketball TV before, but was not conceived as an OTT. Right now, with Courtside, the value proposition is to aggregate, at least from stats point of view, from scoring point of view, all basketball in the world in one place. And on top of that, have live basketball there. We started with our qualifiers competition, but little by little, we will start to aggregate more and more events. And it is, from concept point of view, it is the first product that FIBA launched direct to consumer. It is a product that is aimed to connect directly to our fans. And we hope also to get information from them to understand what they want, to understand what they need. In the past, we didn't have a product where we will have a direct contact with fans. So that's why it's a very, very important project. And it's just starting. So if you download it, if you're part of Courtside, it is, I would say we are in the stage 1, but for sure it will continue grow from there.
That's amazing. And it's great to see that you're thinking about the future and what's coming with Twitch and with OTT and all of this. So it will be very interesting to follow.
Yes, and I don't. We also are in the discussion of Web 3.0, what we will do in the blockchain space. There are a lot of things ongoing there. We were very cautious on not to jump on it immediately. We run a little test in South America. We are assessing different, hopefully, partnerships to go in that space. We are always checking in the market what's going on, because for us, it's very important to deliver quality, and that makes sense. We don't want to just jump in because we will make X amount in a few months. For an international federation, this is now how it works. But hopefully, if things continue, I would say, getting more stable in that space. As you can see, that has been a roller coaster lately. Hopefully, we will have something for fans as well, and we will complement our offering and our fan engagement proposal for basketball people, for basketball fans.
This episode is sponsored by InSport Education, the online business school for sport. Right now, they are offering course recordings on demand for only £199. Private equity in sport, sustainability in sport, or governance in women's sport, take your pick. As always, you get 10% off all courses with the code SPORTSMANAGEMENTPODCAST10. Click the link in the description below to see the complete course list. If we talk a little bit about you and your career in sports, you have a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. So how do you go from that up until being head of commercial development for basketball?
It's a nice story. You could expect that it will do a lot of rounds, but actually didn't. I had the opportunity to work from the beginning, even in the oil industry, in the commercial space. I was always in the commercial area. Then in between oil industry, I did consumer goods. And then between oil industry and consumer goods, I had an MBA. So in that space also, I work in the commercial area, more specifically in the marketing development, business intelligence area in consumer goods. So always in the same, I would say, in same area, same space, but very different industry, from oil, consumer goods, and then the jump to sports. The idea was to use that experience in consumer goods and the oil industry to have it in sports. And that's how I built my profile from the very lowest position in a federation. I started as an intern. That was a reset position for me with 30 years old to start again. It was challenging, starting a new country, starting with a new culture, but knowing that there was a space to add value from what I learned before. And little by little, I built what we have now, a business development position.
That's fantastic. We'll go from an intern and stay with FIBA for so long and now be the head of commercial development.
That's how it was, yeah.
You said that it was a new country. If I'm correct, I said you have lived in at least Argentina, Venezuela, and Switzerland. Is that correct?
Yeah. Venezuela was I born and I studied. My first two work experiences were in Venezuela. Argentina was a little experience that I had there for a few months while I was in the oil industry. And yes, my geographical move was Caracas to Lausanne. So Venezuela to Switzerland, it was a very dramatic change, a lot of cultural new learnings, so to say. And I would say from cultural point of view, yes, a lot of challenges, but I think the most relevant ones were the change of the industry. Coming from corporate world to the industry of sports, it was a change, and I will never say which one is better or worse. They're just very different, and understanding those differences takes time. So when everybody asks how I jump into sports, how I start my career in sports, you need to understand first what you want. You need to understand that you are landing in a very different, I would say, environment. And in federation specifically, it's a bit different with the political component. And to handle that is relevant if you want to do a career in sports. It's just it has some different elements that adds to the mix.
That's a very good point, and something for people to consider if they want to do a career in sports. On your LinkedIn, it says that you are also the general manager for Duke Renders. What is that?
Yes, that's a project that started with a few friends from university during COVID. It is a 3D render studio where I work. We are very close to the literature of Gino Wickman. So I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of visionary, of an integrator. in companies. So my partners are the visionaries of a new project, which was again a 3D visualization, and I worked as an integrator. I am supporting them on making the structure for that company to grow. Have been a very nice project to consult and to be there and see the growth of an organization and to keep learning, and I would say preparing myself to to lead in different positions and take me out a bit of my comfort zone, in a federation, I would say. And this have been a great learning, and so far it's going very well.
So you managed to have two managerial roles simultaneously.
It is a challenge, but it's nice. I would say it is at this stage. Those are very complementary, and both help to look for my best version for the next one. When I learn something in one, I can implement it in the next, and you became very efficient. So that's the beauty of having this type of challenges.
I'm glad to hear. On your free time, I read that you are a football goalkeeper. Is that still going on?
Yes, still the case. I played in a senior team here in Lausanne. It's in Lutry Football Club. Last year we got third in our division. Well, there are three divisions. There are a lot of divisions of football in Switzerland. And for senior, we are in the first one, and it's doing good. I think it's a very good group of people. And I always say I keep playing football not only for physical health, it's mental health. It helps a lot to have this space to be with people that shares passion for sports. And yes, goalkeeping have been with me since I'm 6 years old. So I've never dropped it.
So you're not playing any basketball when you're not working?
Yes, actually, what we do with basketball is we play at lunch. We have a nice hoop outside the office. And yes, I play basketball outside. I'm not the best player in the office. As you can imagine, in FIBA, there are a lot of ex-players, former players, and people who play at a very nice level. I play a bit at the school. But I catch up. I'm very competitive, so I'm there to win as well. But we do it at lunch. And summer, with these days, we get very, very good games.
That's great to hear.
And we play 3x3.
Oh, you play 3x3?
We play 3x3. Yeah. We have a hope to do the half. We do the half court.
Are you streaming that on Twitch as well? You can have, because you said you needed a fixed time. You should have a lunch time every day. FIBA is playing 3-on-3.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure how attractive as a product will be, but yes, if we need a programmatic part, yes, we have it at lunch. Yes, that's a nice one.
Looking back at your career, has there been any bumps on the road? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Well, bumps on the road, yes, for sure. The idea of starting as an intern with 30 years old after a senior managerial position in Philip Morris, it was a change to understand the culture and the industry, the differences in the industry. And I think I would say the first bump road will have been before the internship, because I tried when I did a master in sports, the AISTS here in Lausanne. It was good, and it gave me the perspective I needed to go into the industry. But I would say the first challenge was to get into the industry. I applied left and right. I would say I still have the Excel sheet out there more than 35 times in different positions, and I didn't got one interview, nothing. And I was at that time, of course, very frustrated. I didn't know how it will pan out, and if the decision of leaving my country actually was the right one. And then I quickly understood that the size of the industry, it was, I won't say quickly because it took me a few months. It was not quickly. I understood the hard way that this industry at the end of the day is very small. When you have so many people looking to jump into sports, you face recruiters with 200, 300 CVs for each position. And unfortunately, there's no time to read them all. And even though you could be qualified for a position, you're also competing with a lot of qualifying people. So it is very important to have people that could back up your job. People that could speak about what you did and what you are good with. And those, I would say that network of references, it's very, very important in a small industry. And I think this applies not only to sports, but everything where this industry is small. And that's how, a bit after the frustration process of not getting anything, I managed to connect with people who actually was in contact with my job while I was studying. I did few projects, and was those people who actually opened those doors for me. And through one of them, I got the interview at FIBA. Then, of course, in the interview, you need to shine and you need to make it. Otherwise, it is complex. But again, after all those 35, 32 positions application, no one interview. And then just after speaking to the right people, again, not necessarily because they were in a powerful position, just because they were able to say that the job was good. That opened an interview, I would say, an interview door, and then I started, and that was, I would say, the first step. Then inside is a roller coaster. There are good moments, bad moments, over delivering. Federations, we always say that we are always understaffed, but it's fun at the end of the day. So we need to play with the good and overcome those structure, and the structures are, I would say, not very well developed. It's well known that in sports, career path different from corporate world is something that is difficult to get it from the day one. Either you need to develop by yourself. It's not common that the organization you're working with will have a career path for you. You need to build it with them. And that have been, I would say, the challenge for the first 3-4 years to understand what will be the path in an organization like FIBA. Again, very progressive, very innovative, I would say, with the right spirit to grow, but at the same time following structures that are very conservative and static. The federations are, by definition, they are not dynamic as we could expect from other organizations. So yes, I would say that those two, understanding the structures and getting into the industry, were the biggest bumps after leaving my country, and always a bit of awareness and level of understanding that the things that we were doing or what we were used to do might not be the same. And that applies for everything. China, for example, working for the World Cup in China, that was one of the, I would say, biggest challenges as a professional, not only for the traveling, but also for the cultural differences, to understand that it's not our way or their way, it's just different ways, makes us overcome those obstacles. And I think that for sure, China will need to say that working and delivering the World Cup in China with an amazing team, but in a very challenging conditions, for sure was one of the biggest obstacles, but at the same, one of the biggest wins.
That's a great insight and a lot of good points that I hope people are taking notes if they are interested to enter the sports industry.
Hopefully, yes. Happy to help.
I'm glad to hear it. Approaching the end of the interview here, is there something that I haven't asked you yet that you want to bring up, either about yourself or FIBA or anything else?
Well, I think depends on what will the audience would like to hear. But I've seen some of the interviews that you have, and it's very insightful what your guests share about the organization. I think we cover most of that at the beginning, and I think it's maybe it's important to value this type of spaces where we could keep connecting with people in positions where we will be in one way or another linked. And I saw the list of guests that you had is impressive. It's a lot of good content. Thank you. a lot of great insights. And I just inviting you to continue doing it, because this is great, and hopefully do it also with people with people in other I would say in other similar organizations, in other geographies, and in other places, because we are, I would say, sharing the same passion. We're doing our best to make our organizations grow, and there are a lot of learnings. If we can share, it will be easier and better for us. So I'm happy to have this space, and hopefully we will continue doing it in different situations, and hopefully meet you in person, of course.
Yes, of course, I would love that. And thank you so much for your kind words. And if someone wants to connect with you, you spoke a lot about networking. How do they do that easiest?
LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Mainly not posting. I'm a bit careful with the link with the FIBA stories there. But yes, I'm active there. So for professional purposes, I'm there. I have also Instagram, but I would say it's Instagram. I use it more as a connect with the Latin market to post things about sports and sports marketing, to, in my view, to close that gap between Europe and USA and Latin America. It's like my personal project to try to push the industry there to take the best of what I have the opportunity to work here and see and communicate there. So I have that in Spanish, but in LinkedIn is the best way to connect for sure. Sorry, it took longer to answer a simple question.
No problem. That's great. So LinkedIn, and if they want some additional content, they can check out Instagram as well.
Yeah.
The last question. If you could choose the next guest on this podcast, who do you think that I should talk to?
That's a good one. I could think of the people of DreamHack Sports Games, people based in Denmark, Copenhagen. They are doing an amazing job on building the esports in the sports simulation space, dedicating properties on that. And when you see, I had the opportunity to be in their festival in Maastricht in Netherlands. It was a coincidence. I was going for personal reasons and I could stop by. I was amazed. I was amazed by the environment, the culture, the nice vibe, the familiar space where people could meet and do sports virtually. And a lot of stigmas go down. You still believe that people playing esports is this guy in the cellar with no social skills and will only be playing sports. And when you experience in person, it's way different. And I think DreamHack is doing great. And Roger Lodevich, a great guy, is the CEO of that group. And I think he will be a great guest. They're doing very cool stuff.
That sounds great. I will definitely keep that in mind.
Cool. This is a very nice question to close.
I'm glad. Gustavo Arellano, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you very much for the opportunity and hope to meet you in person soon. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought about this episode. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com or hit me up on Twitter or Instagram @sportsmpodcast.
With the state of today's economy, it is more important than ever to invest in products that last for years to come. As the seasons shift and get cooler, make sure your closet is stocked with durable layers that stand the test of time from American Giant. American Giant's clothes work harder and are wearable season after season. Their greatest hoodie ever made is made of the highest quality materials that are cut and sewn right here in the United States. So you're investing right back into your local community. Choosing American Giant means taking a stand for American manufacturing and hardworking Americans, something other mega corporations don't care about. From fleece to knit, all in a range of colors for versatile daily wear, American Giant delivers everyday pieces designed for everyday life. Feel the difference of quality made-to-last clothes from American Giant. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at american-giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at american-giant.com with code STAPLE20.